Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how we're going to try and secure a Windows server or any kind of Windows computer operating system, and how to safely kind of mitigate some of the attacks that you see a lot on RDP servers. So the first thing you're going to want to do is let's change the default port number of RDP. Because granted, an attacker is still going to know if they do a port scan, they're still going to find that port. But there's so much automation out there that they're just running scripts to try to hit port 3389, which is the default port for RDP. That it's just better just to change that port because you're going to see a huge gap between maybe 1,000 attacks a day on that port to maybe one or two. So it's a huge difference, and it'll help mitigate some of your risk by just simply changing your RDP port. So to do that, we need to go into the registry editor. Go to local machine, system, current control set, and then you want to scroll down to WinStations, then RDP TCP, and then just type in P. So we're right here at the port number, so you can see it is right now 3389. So go ahead and double click on that, change it to decimal so it's easy for us to change this, and I'm just gonna pick, I don't know, 40781. So hit OK. Close out of registry editor. Now for that to take effect, you're gonna have to reboot your server. But before we do that, let's go ahead and right click on the computer, go to properties, and make sure our remote setting is set up. So hit allow remote control, hit OK. OK again, close and close. Now you think we're all done, but we're not. We still need to change our firewall rule so we can allow that custom port. So we go to inbound rules, right click, new rule, select port, type in that port that we just put in, which was I think 50781. Just like I said, you can almost use any kind of random port. Just use, it doesn't have to be this. It can be whatever you might be. Just think of at least more than 4 digits, and make it longer. Hit next, allow, yep, and we'll just say RDP secure, and now we have that forwarding in place. So go ahead and close out of that. Now we can go ahead and reboot the server. And now we should be able to RDP into the server using the IP address of the server, and we're going to do :40781, and we should be able to connect right away. So let's go ahead and reboot. It's coming back up here. But yeah, like I said, this is going to just help mitigate that much more traffic trying to hit that default port 3389. Really on anything, it's good to change the default ports on really anything. Alright, we're logging back in. So another thing we can do, so now you have your RDP port changed. So another thing you can do is install an application that I really like. They're not sponsored by this video, but another program that I really like is called RDP Guard. And what RDP Guard does is it embeds into the actual firewall and creates rules once in a public IP address, tries to, let's say they figured out your RDP port, and now they're going to try to brute force that login. So what this program is going to do is going to detect that IP address trying to log in multiple times, and after a limit you set, but after let's say 5 times, set maybe 7 times, it'll block that IP address. So it's a great tool. I use it for a lot of my clients. I love it. So let's go ahead and download it. Now it is not free. It does require a license, but they give you a 30-day trial so you can kind of see how it works, and if it's something you like. And I think it's only about 79 bucks. It's really not that expensive. Let's see what it is. Yeah, it's 80 bucks. I mean, that's to protect your server. That's definitely worth it. And when you buy more licensing, the cheaper it goes. So you can see let's say you have 2 RDP servers you need to protect. Now it's only $51 a license. So they definitely save if you buy for multiple servers. So let's close out of that. So here's our installation. It's very straightforward and simple. I'm just going to install it. And like I said, this is going to prevent brute force attacks. And it doesn't just do RDP, but it does web forms, SQL databases. If you have an Exchange server, I think it protects the OA login. I'm not sure on that. Don't hold it against me if it's not. But it does a lot. I think it's going to show you what it does. Yeah, see, RD web access. So that's the usually for the SBS RD access. Web forms, looks like voice over IP stuff now, SQL, SMTP, POP3, IMAP, FTP, etc. So we're only worried about RDP because that's the only port we have open on the server. So, we're fine with just that. And they actually have a lot of cool options now. It's called GeoIP, so in the cloud. So if they detect a lot of IPs that are being like brute force attacks, it'll actually sync to your RDP guard. So it just gives you that much more protection that already blacklisted IPs, which is a nice option that they have. So to configure this, go to Tools, Options, and see this right here, automatically check for software updates. That's fine. But the maximum failed login attempts on a single IP is 3. I usually set this to 5. I feel like that's a little bit better. And then I usually change these to 48 hours, just to give that attacker that much long that he has to wait before his IP address clears. But if you notice it keep happening, then of course you're going to want to completely block that IP address totally. But set the Windows firewall, which is fine. IP cloud enabled or off. Like I said, this is a great tool that they just added on, but you don't have to have it on. And the GeoIP is really nice. So let's say you just want to block any traffic coming from China or coming from Russia or Thailand or anywhere. You can enable this and put that country in there. So that's nice because you could basically, okay, let's block everything but United States. You could put that in there, or block United States, or allow Russian only, whatever you want. So this is a great utility. Like I said, I use it a lot. It's great. It works. It never really crashes for me. It just is stable and it works all the time. So we have those settings saved. So that's really the only configuration you really have to do with the software. That's the other thing that I love about it, is it's so easy to use. And like I said, you have 30 days before you have to purchase a license. Now, if you want to keep going further, there's so many different things we can do. But another thing that I like to do is set up two-factor authentication. So two-factor authentication will give you the ability to, if someone somehow gets your hold of your password, they can log into your server. So to prevent against that is you install something called Duo two-factor, which is actually free for up to, I think it's 10 users. So if this is just for a small business or for you, this is a great two-factor authentication option. I'm not going to show you how to install it because it's really easy. It's almost like RDP Guard. You literally just create an account, download this Windows RDP software protection, you set it up, and then you have two-factor authentication on your server. So the things that we just went over, just to wrap this up, we changed the RDP port using the registry editor. Make sure you change your firewall rule and add that firewall rule and reboot the server for all that to take effect. Then you can set up a piece of software called RDP Guard to help against brute force attacks, which is a great utility, and to do geo-blocking and all kinds of other stuff. And then set up two-factor authentication, please, because I've seen so many instances of RDP servers getting compromised because either one, they're using weak passwords, somehow they found their password in a breach. That's why having two-factor on everything is always a huge plus in my book. So like I said, and Duo is free. Up to 10 users. So if you have less than 10 users, two-factor, I believe, is free. I think it might be actually 50 if you just use the RDP and you use the push notifications. But if you use the text or phone calls, they limit you for that. So if you install the Duo app on your phone and you set up two-factor through that, I think that's free up to 50 users. But if you do the text messaging or the phone calls, then you have to kind of pay after you hit a certain limit on that. But I've never seen a better two-factor option out there, and they're actually owned by Cisco now, I believe, too. So yeah, that's really all there is to it to help secure your RDP environment. Or if it's on a terminal server, I would definitely do this for a terminal server. All right, you guys, see you in the next video.